Good morning also from my end. Good morning to everybody. Thanks for the invitation. Thanks for having me here in this very important auditorium here and giving me the opportunity to speak about.
Okay. Thank you for being with us. First of all, I'm going to introduce yourself. I'm going to explain in Spanish. El doctor William Uffelmann comenzó su formación en su formación profesional agrícola en Alemania y en los Países Bajos para posteriormente llevar a cabo una cátedra de gestión de la industria alimentaria en la Escuela de Negocios de Múnich. Tras un largo recorrido profesional que comenzó en el Ministerio de Agricultura alemán, en el Departamento de Política de Mercado Agrícola y Asuntos Internacionales, actualmente y desde el año 2010 es el Lead Partner Agribusiness de Roland Berger en todo el mundo. Y que yo creo que es una persona muy apropiada para explicarnos cuál es la situación de la distribución europea de productos alimentarios en este momento post-COVID. Así que, como quieras, Wilhem. William, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Ricardo. Before we are stepping into my presentation, which is more based on the consumer and on the retail and the consumption today and also tomorrow, pre and post-COVID, I would like to say a few words about the meat industry how we see it. So today, the meat industry and especially the Spanish industry gains a lot of market share on a European level and even on a global level due to export. What is the reason? So you're all aware of the China situation and the situation of African swine fever in China and the big import needs. So you have plenty of opportunities to go for export on the one hand side, and on the other hand side, let's say in Western Europe, due to higher standards in animal welfare, environment, etc., we are becoming less competitive. So think about Denmark, the Netherlands, even Germany, where I'm from. So losing market share in the European industry. And Spain, from my point of view, is today the most important and most competitive country in Europe. So having this said, let's say this is the starting point, as I will not talk about the meat industry in particular now in my presentation. So I would like to ask Laura to go to the next slide, where we are talking about and starting from a consumer point of view. So my presentation is structured around three small chapters, and I would like to start with the scene. Next, please, Laura. So giving you an overview of the whole situation. So during COVID, we had a massive impact on the total consumer landscape, also on food retail today. And with this respect, also a huge impact also for the agri and food industry as well. So think about what we can observe during COVID. Retailing was gaining market share due to the less out-of-home consumption. Yeah, so food retail was benefiting overall due to less away from home consumption. So out-of-home consumption was declining. So then decreasing consumer confidence due to overall employment situation, and with that respect also lower part of consumption overall. Yeah, so less spendings, as let's say also jobs are unclear, and let's say consumer didn't spend much. So then also point number 4, what we clearly can see is at home. Yeah, so spending more money at home as the new center of life. And with all the discussion about home office in the future, we still believe this is a key driver let's say, of home consumption and also retailing. So the question is more about then where in which type of retail. Yeah. So then what we also can observe, and we did recently a study on that, it is about the smartphone as the shopping cart for the future, and where we clearly can see today consumers are buying more with their smartphone value-wise than overall in stationary retail. What we also can see, point number 6, is a temporary shift from luxury, from more premium branded to more everyday products. So the whole value for money was driving much more than premium. So consumers were very price sensitive, as nobody knows, let's say, what's going on also with household income and spending power. Point number 7, if you talk about sustainability, yeah, so this is quite a big issue. Also, if you talk about food and food retail, so even local and regional distribution is gaining share. Point number 8, so we think about social commerce is getting much more attention. So as social community and Gen XYZ is gaining ground here. This is also the driver behind quick commerce, so the new way of e-commerce. So that means same-day delivery. So knowing your customers, so in terms of customer-centric retail, is very important. So what are customer behaviors, consumer behaviors, and let's say how we can influence them. So to a lesser extent, experiential shopping is important, yeah. But anyhow, there are some good innovations in the market where consumers tend to more. Also customer proximity, and what we clearly can see, partnerships and ecosystems. So let's say that special partnerships between the industry and also retail are more engaging, yeah, to play around sustainability, also to launch new products, getting more innovations, and with respect to the meat industry. Also, the meat players today become also a big player in the part of plant-based. So plant-based overall is quite limited, but anyhow, we believe there is a huge noise in the future and will gain definitely more market share as the young consumers are more aware of the overall situation. Having these external factors, so technology, so that means digital, is gaining more importance. Yeah, we shouldn't underestimate. And of course, nobody knows today what is the implication of COVID-19. So Laura, please, let's go to the next slide. So if we talk about the overall food market, we can see four major dynamics. So new players on the market entering. So think about Amazon Fresh is landing Spain now. So until before it was not really a threat, but I think we should watch it carefully. So I don't think they will gain market share that much in the years to come. But let's say in some of the biggest European cities, they're already in the market, in the game, and let's say with the perception of same-day delivery is really an issue. Then also on the upper right quarter, let's say new market participants also with the fulfillment of the same day. So think about Gorillas, Glovo, etc. So they are delivering same day, and this is very convenient. We don't think it is gaining that big market share, but it is a new format, and they will definitely tackle the market. What else? So think about Uber and Uber Eats. So food delivery via Uber So they will expand their portfolio with their existing logistics. So this we think is also jeopardizing, let's say, the food retail, and also food companies investing in logistics, which we haven't seen before, and that might be also a big issue to get the food industry to the next level. Next slide, please. Laura, next slide, please. So if we talk about, let's say, the consumer confidence, we can clearly, and we did here a study for the agri-food industry and also for retail, we see that consumer confidence is, let's say a little bit lower, yeah, and we don't see a recovery yet. So if you see in the middle and in the center down, we made a study recently on that. Let's say, how will you change your spending in the future? So 79% of the consumers overall will reduce their spending. So that means not overall in volume, but let's say more in the value. So what we clearly can see, consumers have less disposable income. Yes, and the future is quite uncertain, and consumers will spend less. So that means more communication is needed overall, and let's say price is a very relevant purchasing criteria. So these are big topics we need to have in mind designing our next route to market approach. Next slide, please. Laura. What we also can see, so smartphone is very important in the shopping behavior, especially if we talk about Gen Z. Yeah. So even 54% is today sold online. Yeah, so this is really the first year where smartphones and online sales is more than offline. And if you see about how the Gen Z is now driving the market, yeah, so they are using more than normal, let's say, the social media for the decision criteria, and which are the opportunities for us at the end of the day. Online is growing. Online is on a global level quite profitable. What retailers need to think about is omni-channel models, and let's say we need to think also of social media as a key sales channel, and how to tackle, let's say, the Gen Z. Next slide, please. So I would go only for the food and nutrition. So what you here can see overall, consumers spend less on clothing, jewelry, and watches, etc., and also on beauty. So these categories lost a lot of sales and sales volume. And food was the winner, let's say, more or less in the terms of sales. So that are, let's say, the categories of daily usage. Health and wellness becomes more important for the consumers, and let's say consumers will increase shopping via online channels. Next slide, please. Going to the consumer trends in sustainability and regionality. So we think sustainability will increase more in the developed markets of Western Europe than in other markets. Yeah, so all the Western high income countries will definitely get more towards sustainability and do regional shopping. Yeah, and this need to be proven also in your whole value chain. So what are localization strategies, local products, how we can promote and differentiate. in the different business areas. So sustainability is definitely a big issue, and sustainability for private label even, which is also important for meat from my point of view, will definitely increase market share. Next slide, please. Going to social commerce, I will keep it very short. I think what is really important is about to engage the next generation consumers. And if you talk about the Gen Z today, it's very connected via internet and social media, and let's say decision making in that consumer type and consumer cluster is very much driven via online and social media. So that means at the end of the day, if we want to promote something, influencers will play a different big role from our point of view, and also in the years to come that will increase, let's say, in making decisions. Next, please. So even in China, this has today a huge business potential. So let's say, for example, 51% of the Chinese post-90s generation are influenced by the social commerce. We believe this is also a massive trend we will see, let's say, in the next 3 years in Europe. So that means communication, online shopping, online sales, but also influencing decision making is very much online driven. And this is something we need to watch on also from the agri and food industry, especially, let's say, the reputation of the meat industry is very much in the focus. Next, please. So here you can see on the one hand side the old traditional e-commerce, yeah, the e-commerce way, and on the other hand side the quick commerce, the second generation of e-commerce. So what is used today is delivery time within 1 hour, with a very limited and tailored assortment, delivered typically by bicycles or any two-wheelers, let's say, out of local shops and department stores. And also what we can see, the total bong is very small, as households are also very small. So these are things, let's say, which we see on a global and even on a European level to come. So that means getting closer to the consumer, having more influence of the consumer, and a quick delivery is definitely an issue. It is less for bigger households because they are more price sensitive and price aware. But let's say the smaller the households they get, the more important it will be. Next slide, please. So if we talk about experiential shopping, so here you can see, let's say, the whole process of decision making and how this will become more online in the future. So how we do this search, and search is often connected to sustainability, to animal welfare. If we talk about meat, especially, of environmental impact, etc. And then going through the whole purchasing process is also experience and in the eyes of the young consumers. And this need to be addressed also by, let's say, the old style, old-fashioned meat industry. So there need to be a mindset, from my point of view, also to address young consumers with a more experiential shopping. Next, please. So our key hypothesis on the overall effect on COVID-19. So we believe, and we have seen in category sales data, that retailers were really winning market shares during COVID. It is now the question how we can gain back, let's say, in the out-of-home consumption. But let's say what we clearly can see is a new consumer shopping behavior. So more online, more e-commerce, and more enjoying shopping via smartphones. What is also, let's say, an issue is managing then also the supply chain. Yeah, so brands becoming less important, more fresh, more flexible supply chains. Yeah, this is important. And let's say if we talk about the overall brand situation, so less loyalty we can observe, less loyalty, less brand loyalty at the end of the day, and we can see more other attributes, let's say, to gain the attention of the consumers. Next, please. So if we go to the next slide, we did a survey. Next slide, please, Laura. We did a quick market study on the Spanish situation, and here you can see, let's say, what is important and which are the retailers are focusing most and much on the different attributes, and what we here can see on the 11 points, what are from our point of view important for the consumers in decision taking, where the different retailers are playing. What we clearly can see is that discounters are gaining market share. So Aldi and Lidl are very, very aggressive, but also playing the key attributes for the consumers, which is important for them for decision making. So we clearly can see that Mercadona and Eroski, for example, are losing market share, and let's say the price aggressive channels, discounters are gaining more market share. Next slide, please. So what does this mean for the retail and also for the agri and food and especially the meat industry? Let's go to the next slide, please. So from our point of view, the short-term challenges due to COVID-19. Yeah, so it's about optimizing the current portfolio of the product. From a distribution point of view, it's clearly omni-channel, and omni-channel is not a nice wording. It's about reality. So managing offline and online at the same time is creating huge challenges also for your supply chain logistics network. So that means batch sizes will become smaller, and as freshness matters, especially in the meat industry, it's getting a huge challenge. Then also improving service level to fulfill the customer demands and expectations at a recent price level. And of course, let's say, and this need to be on a different level today, is the digital capabilities from our point of view. So that means at the end of the day, there are opportunities, also challenges during COVID, and now we will see how that happens after COVID-19 in the next years to come. Thank you so much for listening to me. Happy to answer your questions.
Buenos días. No sé si me escucha. Sí. Muchas gracias, William. Muchas gracias por tu interesante presentación. Ahora mismo no hay ninguna pregunta en el chat, pero a mí sí me gustaría profundizar un poquito, si puedes, sobre todo lo que es la relación entre la producción de carne y la relación con el medio ambiente y cómo esto está marcando un camino que tanto la distribución como la industria tienen que abordar y hacerlo de forma conjunta. ¿Cuál es tu opinión al respecto?
Yeah, this is a very good and important question in the years to come. So as I'm also working in Brazil, so today Brazil has overall the lowest cost, but increasingly important is the question of animal welfare, of environmental standards, and let's say in terms of GMO free, yeah, so using of soy. So these are, let's say, if you want to comply with the global consumer standards, so China is not much aware of that right now, or let's say Asia, as they want to buy cheap. But let's say if you want to gain market share in Europe, and as if Spanish players want to gain market share in Northwest Europe, which are the attractive markets, they definitely need to fulfill these standards in the years to come. So there is still a commodity market, there is still a market in bulk and so on. But if you want to address, let's say, the higher priced premium markets, which Spain can do and has right to play in, then you need to comply definitely in higher standards. This is something where I don't see. So I've been also working in the Spanish or overall Iberian industry, not yet complying to Northwest Europe. And this is also the reason why Spain has huge advantages also in cost, and are happy to have this cost competitiveness.